Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with the second series of Mogwai figures from NECA. With the various delays this line has suffered, the old cynic in me was beginning to think these figures would never be released. Yet not only have we got this second series, NECA is now touting a third series of Mogwai figures. I'll be reviewing each of these figures over the coming days here on my channel. But in this video, I'm going to focus my review on Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mogwai. It's Combat Gizmo. So the figure looks great in packaging with the familiar sinister shadowing of a gremlin behind the figure. Taking a look at the card back, and we see the other figures in the series which we saw at the top of the video, Daffy and Mohawk, plus the first series of Mogwai figures, Gizmo, George and Lenny. And then up here we have the blurb concerning those nonsense posable eyes these figures have. Anyway, let's open Combat Gizmo up and take a closer look at him. So I never got Gizmo from the first series, as by the time that figure was released, I'd already seen promotional images for Combat Gizmo and figured I'd wait for that one, and now it seems my wait has not been in vain, as I love him. This is of course Gizmo from Gremlins 2, where he is pushed to breaking point by the Gremlins, and inspired by Rambo, he dons this headband and arms himself to fight back. I just like the idea of a tougher, no-nonsense Gizmo, and that is conveyed really well in the face sculpt with a facial expression that reeks of pissed off and taking no prisoners. Like the other Mogwai action figures, it has posable eyes. These are operated by rotating this ball in the back of the figure's head. It sounds like a good idea on paper, yet in practice it doesn't work that well in that each eye isn't coordinated to move in the same direction at the same time, making him often look a little bit boss-eyed. And personally, I think I would have preferred to have seen a bit more white of the eye. Gizmo's string bell is actually string, and his Rambo-style headband is actually sculpted in plastic and glued to his head. In the movie, Gizmo fashions his weapons, including a flaming arrow that he kills Spider Mohawk with out of various office supplies. So the head of the arrow, I believe, is a pot of correction fluid, and the main part of the arrow is a pencil. I'm not sure if you can see the detail here. Actually has an eraser on the end of the pencil. So good attention to detail on the accessories. The bow is, in the movie, made from a paper clip with an elastic band strung between it. And here the accessory is just plastic. One criticism I do have, while the accessories are really well observed, it is really tricky to get Gizmo to hold them. Seems like his fingers are just sculpted that bit too tight together. You really have to wrestle the accessories into his hands, and it feels a little bit like you're going to break them when you're doing so. Already discussed the posable eyes, but let's move on to the articulation of the rest of the figure, and alas, the little guy just doesn't have the articulation to get him in any kind of pose where he would appear to be firing his bow and arrow. But for a figure of this scale, there is some decent articulation going on. His head rotates 360 degrees at the neck. There's also some up and down movement. His ears are also articulated. He rotates 360 degrees at the shoulders. He's also 360 degree rotation at the elbow, as do the hands. Unfortunately, no waist articulation, but his legs rotate 360 degrees and move front and back, so you can get him into more of a walking pose. So despite a few criticisms, all in all, I'm really pleased with this figure. I'll just bring in NECA's Cult Classics Mohawk, just to give you an idea of scale differential. Now, I wouldn't waste my time crossing fingers, but how amazing would it be to finally see the Spider Mohawk figure that NECA showcased a couple of years back be released? It would look so great alongside Combat Gizmo. Anyway, stay tuned for reviews of the rest of the series, Daffy and Mohawk. Please comment, rate, share, subscribe. Don't get them wet, don't expose them to bright light, and never ever feed them after midnight.